Hi folks, it's me. Just checking in with you all about the Media Watch assignment due this week. And I wanted to give you some tips about how to find your articles because this is something that students stumble on sometimes. And so just giving you some ideas about how to find your articles. These same strategies can also apply to the final project, by the way. So those of you who have started looking for articles for that assignment, some of these same strategies can apply. So first, I wanted to just point out that the complete lessons for the Media Watch assignment are on the lesson 7, page 9, and please read them carefully and thoroughly to make sure that you do everything that you're supposed to be doing. There is an example that you can look at. I suggest that you do use the example because it will very clearly show you just exactly what you're supposed to do for the assignment. But as far as finding the article, which I think students find this can be very challenging, I want to show you some things that can make it easier. So first thing is, some of you may already do this with Google Alerts and RSS feeds and that sort of thing, but I like this site called Feedly. I find it to be very easy to use, and essentially what it does is it allows you to set up topics, and then you can feed in news streams from different sites that pertain to that topic. So you can see I've set up one on ethics, and I have shared that stream with you all. It's linked in the final paper project information that I posted yesterday. So this will take you that link will take you directly to the ethics links that I've posted. And in my ethics links, I have a Google alert for articles that have to do with journalism ethics, ones that have to do with media ethics, and then I have a couple blogs that have to do with journalism ethics that I subscribe to. And that feeds the headlines and a little blurb about them directly into one place, so I don't have to go jumping all over the place to try to look at all of these different sites. It just makes it so much easier. And then I also feed in the New York Times and Center Daily Times and NPR and some photojournalism sites, as well as Stratcom and things that I would do on my own by jumping around the internet, but instead they're all right here in a nice place. So that's one thing you can do, is if I want to look at all of the articles that have loaded for me that have to do with ethics, I can look in here, and this is a good hint for your final project, by the way, because all of these have to do with journalism ethics. They're all going to have some sort of ethical component to them, so you can look at that, and it can possibly take you to a page, a story, a journalist, a situation that you could use as the case study for your final project. So that's just a little hint. But as far as this week's assignment is concerned, the Media Watch assignment, this Media Watch is all about talking to victims. That is really important. You must find articles where the reporter actually talked to victims or their families. You cannot just find a news story that's about a tornado or a hurricane or some other tragic, a house fire or something like that, and use that. It has to be an article where they talked to victims or victims' loved ones, and you can tell that very easily in the article. You just have to read it carefully and make sure that you can tell that the journalist actually interviewed somebody who was directly affected by the situation. And the basic bottom line for this assignment is you're supposed to find one article where you think the reporter did a good job of following ethical guidelines related to talking to victims, and you need to find one article where you think the reporter did not do a good job of following ethical guidelines. And then you just follow the directions about how to post them and report them. So one way to go about this is think about what's going on in the news today where there have been victims. So there's a lot of sexual assault stuff that's in the news these days. There's natural disasters in the news these days. There's school shootings in the news these days. All of those types of situations have victims and most likely interviewed people who were affected by the tragedy. So one thing that is in the news and is hot these days is Ebola. So I just did a Google search for Ebola victim, and these are all of the news stories that are pulled up that have to do with that. And lo and behold, the first one is Ebola victim's nephew speaks. So that is definitely an article that you can use. Whether you would use it as the ethical example or the unethical example is up to you, and you need to demonstrate in your writing why you think it's ethical or unethical. That's the whole point of this assignment, is to analyze what the reporter did or didn't do that you think was ethical or unethical. But there's lots of them here. There's tons and tons and tons of Ebola stories that are out nowadays. So please feel free to use that, or just think of any kind of a situation that involves a tragedy. It can be local, in your local area. It can be international. It can be national. It doesn't matter what kind of tragedy you're talking about. Just find somebody two stories where the reporter actually talked to a victim or a victim's family member, a loved one. And one example of good ethics and one example of questionable ethics, and then write it up, and that's it. So please let me know if you have questions, but that at least will get you started in the right direction. And I'll talk to you soon.